Welcome back, my Duelist friends. Casual Duelist here. And today, it's Monday, so happy Monday. I thought we'd start off the week with another Magic deck. And this time, what we're going to be doing is going to be like a Bruiser Black and Blue Amonkhet block built cycling deck. So, real quick, because this is the way I like to do this when it comes to an MTG deck profile. We are running 18 land. It is going to be evenly split, nine islands, 9 swamps for the blue-black. So just real quick, that gets everything there out of the way. And I do apologize. The table's kind of creaky today, so probably have to fix that here soon. Best card in the deck, I think. We're using 4 copies. You will notice that we do have an alternate art here of the Archfiend of Ifnir. Again, Amonkhet, just really cool, loved it. But this guy is really cool too. So normally flying, and then whenever you cycle or discard another card, you get to place a -1/-1 counter on each creature the opponents control. So again, every time you cycle, everything on the opponent's side of the field will weaken. And it's just sort of cool. He's a 5/4 on 5, and he is a cycling card himself. Since this is not a legendary creature spell, of course, you may have 2, 3, or even all 4 of these in play at the same time, at which point that is a ton of negative counters going out every time you choose to cycle a card. Moving on, we're going to be playing a 4-pack of the Cunning Survivor. Nice little human warrior, a little 1/3 on 2. So again, going to be a little more important as far as defending ourselves. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, this will get +1/0 until the end of the turn and can't be blocked this turn. Again, pretty cool, but again, generally just an early game body to help you defend yourself. We are going to run 4 copies of the Ruthless Sniper. This archer is a 1/2 on 1. Whenever you cycle or discard, you may pay an additional 1 mana. If you do, place a -1/-1 counter on target creature. So much like our Archfiend of Ifnir, only we're a little more selective. Makes sense since he's a sniper, right? Next up, this is one of my favorites. We are going to be running 4 copies again of the Shadowstorm Vizier. She is a 1/3 on 2, must be 1 black and 1 blue. Flying human cleric. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, gain 1/1 until the end of the turn. So again, the more cards being cycled and discarded, the better she's going to be that turn. Flying means just hecka damage. Next card up, we're going to be playing 4 copies of the Vile Manifestation. This gets a +1/0 for each card with cycling that's in the graveyard. So this is a stack effect. And yeah, even though he starts off as an 0/4 for 2, this guy easily gets into double digits later in the game just off of his own power. Plus, he himself is another cycling card. So again, for 2 mana, discard, then draw 1. And again, kick off other effects like our Sniper, remember? So that's awesome. Last creature spell, we are going to run 3 copies of the Wasteland Scorpion. And this one's pretty cool. I just like it. It's just base cycling. It is a 2/2 on 3 and Death Touch. So any damage this does to a target creature, whether or not that was lethal damage, if it was enough to retire the card. So again, let's say this thing got blocked by a 0/10 for some reason. Even though that would only bring it down to 0/8, it still gets the KO because of the Death Touch. So again, pretty fantastic. And yeah, so that's just the monster base. Run through it once more real quick. Let you guys check out the arts. Again, I'm loving this art the most. And the next time I get a cool looking like Balor, Balrog-ish type looking figure for D&D, I think I'm going to use that card as my like paint, what do you call those? Guideline. We'll just use guideline. That's the only word that's coming to mind. Moving over into our instance and such, we are going to use 4 copies of the Censor spell. So for 2, this will counter target spell unless the controller pays an additional 1, which is good because, again, if your opponent sunk all their mana into that whatever fireball and they don't have that extra mana, then yeah, fine, you negated it on 2. Or you could just be petty, make them pay a little more mana. Or we can choose to cycle this card for a simple cost of 1, which can help us trigger out a lot more other effects within the build. So that's good. The next one, we're also going to use 4 copies of this, is going to be the Countervailing Winds. Counter target spell unless the controller pays 1 for each card in my graveyard. So again, the more I cycle, the better this card gets. Not only am I going to be cycling in order to gain all the if cycled effects, but I'm also building up how much this is going to be a bigger pain in the butt when we go to negate. Additionally, we can cycle this one for 2 to just go ahead and draw another card. So it helps us trigger a lot of other stuff. We are also going to use Hieroglyphic Illumination. We're going to want to use 4 copies of this spell. This one's going to cast in on 4. This just lets us draw 2 cards, or we could cycle it for 1 to drop it and draw 1. Again, I tend to cycle this one more often than not. Late game, yeah, sometimes I will play it the right way. But generally, I'm just going to cycle the card in order to gain all the other benefits of all my other in-play cards. One blue sorcery that we are going to play is the Sacred Excavation. For 4 mana, and only being able to play this on our own turn, just in case you're not a Magic player, you're one of the Yu-Gi-Oh players that frequents the channel and you like learning about other games. This lets you return up to 2 target cards with cycling from the graveyard back to the hand. So just kind of like a reverse tutor, graveyard tutor. And again, depending on which cards you guys want to pick back up, you guys could cycle like a bunch. Or again, if it was a monster that got beat, like the Archfiend of Ifnir, we can just go ahead and recast him, which would be just fine. Last sorcery we're going to use is we're going to use 4 copies of the Unburdened card. This is going to cast on 3. Target player discards 2 cards. Now, we could target ourselves, or we could just go ahead and take those last couple options out of the opponent's hand, because let's be honest, that's what really makes this card good. But again, because the deck focuses on cycling, and it was a big deal again during the Amonkhet, we went with this for the block build, just as a little bit of a control aspect. So that was fine. And then I do love this artifact. This helps me round out the deck. This is my Abandoned Sarcophagus. We get 2 copies of this. You may cast non-land cards with cycling from the graveyard. If a card with cycling would be put into the graveyard from anywhere and it wasn't cycled, that card will be exiled instead. So, think about that. It's pretty darn good. A lot of spells gain multiple uses because of this. You'll cycle it and then get your other effect, which also means you're always re-upping your hand, always having options. And again, just in any type of tabletop card game, I've always found that the more options that you have, the more likely you guys are to win and do better. So this is block built. And then just a quick note to the Yu-Gi-Oh players. All that means is Magic cycles in blocks. Used to be like 3 sets. I think they were down to 2. They were down to 2 during this time period for sure. And all it means is I was only allowed to use cards for the main deck from there, except land. Land would always be generically used. As you guys can see, I have I think that's Tarker block, maybe Cons or something right there. As far as where this land came from, that one should be like Ixalan or Theros maybe. I'm not really good with remembering all of the plane names. But I do hope that everybody enjoyed this, even if you aren't a Magic player. So if you did, simply just leave us a like, maybe a comment. I'm thinking about doing some decks from Yu Yu Hakusho. I should still have them somewhere behind me here in the studio. And if you guys want to see that, let me know down in the comments, all right? That said, for the remainder of the week, I've got a couple of really cool what-if scenario speed duel decks. And we'll have the first one tomorrow. And then the next one will either be Wednesday or Thursday. So look out for those. And then, hey, maybe we'll get Celestial to play me with one of those. So, yeah, have a great day, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. See you later.